In the summer of 1775, General Washington sends 2 armies to invade Quebec. One force of 1,000 men will sail up Lake Champlain and the Richelieu River to strike at Montreal. It is led by Richard Montgomery, once a captain in the British Army, now the youngest Major General in the American Army. But the second attack is to be the real surprise, coming up through the wilds of Maine and then up the Chaudière to assault Quebec. This backdoor route is so treacherous that even the Indian raiding parties spurn it. It is led by a Connecticut hothead who will be one of the Revolution's greatest heroes, then its most despised traitor.
I am now on my march to Quebec to restore liberty to our brethren of Canada.
Benedict Arnold has been everything: a sea captain, a horse trader, a smuggler. Now he wants to try his hand at conquest. Arnold has often done business in Quebec, where one of his partners was the spy Thomas Walker. Walker now assures him that Quebec is ripe for the taking.
The bulk of the people, both English and Canadians, wish well to your cause. Few in this colony dare vent their griefs, but groan in silence, and dream of confiscations and imprisonments, offering up their prayers to the throne of grace to prosper your righteous cause, which alone can free us from those fears and apprehensions that rob us of our peace.
Arnold is still 6 weeks away, but Montgomery's army has already begun the invasion. Thanks to Walker, several hundred Canadians have joined their ranks, and Quebec is falling to the invader piece by piece. By mid-September, they are on the doorstep to Montreal. Now all that stands between the city and the enemy is the British fort at Saint-Jean. The Americans surround it, cut its supply lines, and bring up the siege guns. Inside the fort are a few hundred British regulars and a handful of Canadian militia. There are also 80 women and children. For the first few weeks, they carefully count every musket cartridge and ration every scrap of food, and the siege is bearable. For 7 grim weeks, they hold out. But on the last night, the American guns pound the fort for 8 long hours. By morning, British Lieutenant John Andre knows it is the end.
The situation of the sick and wounded was a very cruel one. They were neither out of reach of danger nor sheltered from the inclemency of the weather. There was now nothing left but to frame the best articles we could for the garrison.
A surrender with honor. On November 3rd, the battered garrison at Fort Saint-Jean gives in. Much of the British Army is now in captivity. Montreal is defenseless.
You can't imagine we're in the worst possible situation. The governor has just told les Canadiens they are free to leave or to stay. I think we are doomed. And we are waiting to be taken. I'm sure this is the last letter I can send you.
A few days later, Montgomery's Americans take Montreal without a fight. Some welcome them as liberators, declaring, "Our hearts have always desired the union offered to us by our brothers of the colonies." Governor Carleton escapes Montreal at the last minute and flees to Quebec City. En route, he is stunned by the news he must defend it against not one, but two invading armies. Fortunately for Carleton, Benedict Arnold's army is a wreck. The map George Washington gave him is 15 years old and underestimates the distance to Quebec by 200 miles. Most of Arnold's boats have been smashed to pieces, the food and supplies swept away in the freezing water. The survivors are reduced to eating their candles and shaving soap, even the leather of their shoes.
Many of the men began to fall behind, and those in any condition of march were scarcely able to support themselves, so that it was impossible to bring them along. If we tarried with them, we must all have perished. Private George Morrison.
It is a skeleton army that finally emerges at Point-Levis to stare across at the ramparts of Quebec. Of the 1,200 men who started out, less than 700 remain. But Arnold is still eager for battle. On the morning of November the 15th, he marches his men onto the plains outside the city walls and taunts the garrison to come out and fight.
I am ordered by His Excellency General Washington to take possession of the town of Quebec. I do therefore, in the name of the United Colonies, demand immediate surrender of the town and fortifications.
Inside the fortress, Governor Carleton makes a show of burning the ultimatum without reading it. But he knows that Montgomery's army is approaching from Montreal to join the siege. And privately, he doesn't hold out much hope.
Could the people of the town be depended upon, I should flatter myself we might hold out. But we have so many enemies within a foolish people, dupes to those traitors, with the natural fears of men unused to war. I think our fate extremely doubtful, to say nothing worse.